what is leadership's role in building a better normal?
There's a couple of perspectives about this. Firstly, everyone talks about leadership having to be top down. You've got to work with the leaders first to change the culture. I disagree. I think the leaders are the hardest people to work with to change. You get much more change from people who are more open, who are not fixed in their ways, and so I'm not a huge fan of the top down model. Now, do you need leaders to be involved and engaged in a change initiative? Absolutely. But one of the better ways to do that is upward pressure, where you say, hey, if you've got a company of 10,000 employees with 1,000 people managers and 100 top leaders, you say to your 100 top leaders, hey, we're about to teach your 1,000 managers literally this month, all at once, to be more inclusive. So you better know what's happening and role model it. And then we'd rather teach those 1,000 people all at once and put all this upward pressure on these people, and then you get real change. You try and do something with the 100. First, you never get it scheduled. Secondly, they don't turn up. Thirdly, when they do turn up, they're doing other things. They don't cascade it down. And then when you try and cascade it, the program you built for them doesn't actually work for the rest, because it just doesn't scale with costs and all this stuff. So we're a bit sort of backward with how we think about sort of involving leaders in change. So having said all that, one of the biggest effects of from social science about kind of why people change is thinking everyone else is changing, and particularly higher status people. So if higher status people are doing something, you do pay a lot of attention. So there is a flip side to everything I just said, which is that you do want the higher status people to be role modeling things and doing things differently. But you can't. But I wouldn't say start with them. I would say start with everyone and put the upward pressure. So it is important. The normative effect is really important. Sure.
It's quite interesting because in your example of 10,000, let's make the maths easy for me. 100 top leaders, 1,000 people managers. Yeah. That leaves you with 8,900 employees, should we say? If you get the 1,000 working, then you're effectively affecting 8,900, 89% of the organisation, and then as you said, will that then filter up to the 100 to manage the 1,000?
Yeah. We looked at the data on that percentage that changed when you do a briefing for the leaders versus you don't, and we do get about a 15% bump in the percentage of people now doing things differently weekly if you brief the leaders versus sort of don't involve them. So it is helpful to brief them. But the interesting thing also is with those 1,000 people managers, the best strategy is to say, you guys are doing great. We're going to give you some tools to teach the 8,900 people how to be even better. And so we think about manager-led learning, where you're giving the managers really easy to use tools so that they can scale. Because now you can impact a whole company in a month. Now you can make a company of 10,000 or 100,000 or 1 million much more inclusive in a month. And a couple of months later, work on something else, and you can nudge the whole organization very quickly. And that's our model for driving real behavior change into and down into organizations.
In this series, we will be speaking to a range of senior leaders who are pushing a data-driven and digital HR agenda. Make sure that you subscribe via your podcast app of choice and also via our YouTube channel for free and regular interviews with the digital HR leaders of the future.